Have you ever taken a quiz or a test and received a score of 1? That was your grade, a 1? I know that sounds really bad, horrible, but in actuality, it's a perfect score. It means you got all the questions correct. Now, how is that so? We can represent this situation in the form of a ratio or fraction. If you don't recall what a ratio is, then find my video on my YouTube channel on ratios. And in there, I explain what a ratio is. And plus, there's some bonus footage in there of my great-grandfather and a little bit of history there. And it actually may help to explain why I have the issues I do. Well, not issues, just why I am the way I am. Let's take a look at this ratio here, 5 over 5. That top 5, that numerator, represents the number of questions that you got correct. The denominator is also a 5. That 5 represents how many questions were on the test or the quiz. That can also be read as 5 divided by 5, the numerator divided by the denominator. 5 divided by 5 is 1. So your score would be a 1 on that quiz. So I know you're thinking, well, that's not the way my teacher writes my grade on my paper. Well, typically teachers will write your score in the percent form. So 1 is not a percent. 1 is a whole number representing how many questions you got right out of how many total questions there were. In order to change that to a percent, we can move the decimal 2 units to the right or multiply by 100. That gives us the percent. That is what your teacher will typically write on your paper. So these 3 numbers are all different forms, but they're also all equivalent to each other. At almost any given moment, you can look around you and find a number. Numbers are almost everywhere. And what I've done is I've obtained a collection of some numbers from just me going out in public. And I'm going to share those numbers with you in a few minutes. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how you can compare these numbers and then order them. And no, you cannot use calculators or Uber Eats. We're going to compare these numbers in value to each other and then place them in a specific order, such as ascending or descending order. And what I mean by that is ascending is starting at the lowest point and moving up to the highest point. Descending would be the opposite, which is starting at the highest point and moving down to the lowest point. And the numbers that we're going to compare, and the reason that we're using a method to compare them is because these numbers are all in different forms. They could be in whole number form, fraction form, improper fraction, mixed number, decimals, percents, so on. So these numbers come in various forms, and we're going to compare them and then order them using one particular method that I will show you. And if you find yourself needing some help, well, then just ask Tommy. He'll figure it out. Exactly what I need. Reduced fat milk. 2%. Here's 2%. In this situation, the decimal is to the right of the 2. To change it to a decimal, then move the decimal 2 units to the left. Once you have moved the decimal, it is no longer a percent. It is just a decimal. So 200ths or 0.02 is the decimal for 2%. Another way you could look at this is that a percent is always over or out of 100. So 2% is the same as 2 over 100 or 2 100ths. 2 100ths can also be written with a 2 in the hundredths place. Or you could just divide 2 by 100. Either way, you still get 0.02 as the decimal for 2%. This time I found an improper fraction. So here's 24/7. To change it to a decimal, we're going to divide 24 by 7. First step, 7 can go into 24 3 whole times. That leaves us with a remainder of 3. 7 can go into 30 4 times. That leaves us with a remainder of 2. Again, bring down your 0. 7 can go into 20 2 times. We have a remainder of 6. There is no need for me to continue dividing. I have a decimal that I can use to compare. So 24/7 is approximately 3.42. I had to stop for some fuel and hear the gas prices. The gas price, $1.89 per gallon, is already in the form of a decimal. I do not need to do anything with it. Here is 1/4. To convert 1/4 to a decimal, I can do 1 divided by 4. 4 cannot go into 1, but it can go into 10, 2 whole times. That leaves a remainder of 2. 4 can go into 20 5 times. There is no remainder. So 1/4 as a decimal is the same as 0.25 or 0.25. Now this chart displays each of those 4 numbers in its original form. OF stands for original form. Next to each of those numbers, I have listed its decimal equivalent. DF stands for decimal form. 2% is equal to 0.02, 24/7 is equal to 3.42, 1.89 is equal to itself 1.89, and 1/4 is equal to 0.25. What I've done here is changed each of those decimals to a dollar amount for easy comparison. Once you have made your comparisons, put the original forms of those numbers in order. In this case, both ascending and descending. So if 2 cents is the lowest amount, then that means 2% is also the lowest number in value. And if $3.42 is the highest monetary value, that means that 24/7 is the highest number. Here's the correct ordering for this set of numbers. From least to greatest is 2%, 1/4, 1.89, and 24/7. The correct order for greatest to least is 24/7, 1.89, 1/4, and 2%.